Let's have a short few moments to bring ourselves present, grounded, together, tuned in. You can close your eyes and take a deep breath. Feel the energy moving through your body from the cosmos, from the earth. Feel the power of that energy. Allow it to flow, to lighten up the cells of our bodies. Be aware that our lasting health is the realization of our full potential as human beings. That we are devoted to lasting health for ourselves and for all people, for our planet, for everything. Welcome in all those who cannot be with us on this call. Welcome our guides. Open ourselves to the creative energy to have this conversation that we are about to have. To be full and free and the beautiful beings that we are in all of our brilliance. And open your eyes when you feel you're ready. So I wondered what I could do to prepare for this call today. And I finally decided that the best thing I could do was not do anything.
Yay.
So we're wide open. Let's think of this as a whiteboard session. And we know that we have completed a phase of our development. And we wrapped up 2017 with that completion. And this is a new year and a new phase. And we are moving. We want to create the next steps. So let's talk about it. What do we need to do?
Hi, it's Marcia.
Hi, Marcia.
Can I share something personal?
Sure.
Just to kick things off?
Yeah.
Because I thought of us last night. I was visiting some very, very old friends, a couple. Those of you in the naturopathic world, this probably won't come as a surprise, or you'll totally get it. But she's been suffering for at least 10 years with horrible allergies and autoimmune and inflammation and digestive stuff. She's been dealing with SIBO, I think it's called, which is a gut, just devastating stuff. And I visited her last night, and she told me with tears in her eyes that she's finally connected at a clinic where she has an MD and she has a naturopath, and they talk to each other. And they're coordinating her treatment to the point where the naturopath may suggest something in which the doctor will say, whoa, that's really exciting. Let me know how that goes. And it's really turned her life around. And just that level of communication, which is so rare in our world of medicine, traditional medicine here, it's just been so lacking. And I was just thinking, it's something that's so simple. It's just communication. Mm-hmm. So I just want to put that out as, for me, part of what I see is what we're doing here.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Marcia. Yeah, that is so important. And your friend sounds like she feels met and seen and held, and that she can rely on her circle of health support.
You're on mute, Marcia.
You're here.
You can hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. But the relief, not only the better care, but the relief of just knowing that, as you said, John, being held in that way is just immense.
Mm-hmm. Oh, one of the things that we wanted to do on this call, there's some other things I'm sure that we want to do that haven't been mentioned yet, but one of the key things is to bring together the practitioners. And when you talk about that kind of support for a patient, the place that we are starting with here is the elevated view. We're looking down from a high place to allow us to see the whole. And I'm really looking forward to practitioners coming together from different disciplines who are all dedicated to the vision of lasting health, and see what happens when we have the conversation of how to hold the participant or the patient fully, and coordinate the different approaches to their treatment. So perhaps we can start there. Leni and I had a conversation just a little while back. We would like to look at how we can bring the practitioners together. So why don't we just jump in and start talking about that.
Richard, I think it would be great if you could begin this conversation with the names of the people we've been speaking with already in Kaslo, or maybe we can do that together.
I think that's a good idea. Of course, well, there's Leni, and there is another massage therapist that's in Kaslo.
Laura, so that Leni knows. No.
Yeah, Laura. I think it's Lori or Laura. And I don't have the names in front of me, Gillian. And there's the two practitioners that do the Lomi Lomi work that are out of Proctor. There's also Devin's work with functional medicine.
Yeah.
And there's Sasha's work with somatic healing.
Yep.
There's the Reiki woman, whose name I don't remember. She came and met with us.
Yeah, Laura.
Oh, is that her? And there's
Or was
another
that
one.
Chelsea?
Sorry, Lena?
Chelsea Van Kennett.
Chelsea.
So that's one person, is it? The
Yeah.
massage person and the Reiki person? And
No,
what's-
there's Laura. There's another lady called Laura, and she's got a very deep knowledge of many different modalities as well.
okay.
So there's a number of body workers, and there's also
Couple called Mark and Lisa.
Mark and Lisa. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now
There's a Lomi Lomi.
He does Lomi Lomi. He's been doing that at what's that place called?
Mountain Waters.
Yeah, Mountain Trek.
Mountain
Right.
Trek.
Yeah.
And Leni, who's the person who does Reiki?
It's Chelsea Van Kennett.
Chelsea.
Another massage therapist you might want to integrate is Kelly Noel.
Yeah, Callie, I would love to have, because Callie's now working down at the Langham,
Right?
and we have a great relationship with him too. So
Yeah, he would be awesome to bring into the team.
yeah,
Kelly
Yeah.
is a man.
Yeah.
Kelly Knowles.
Yeah.
He's very skilled in sports medicine, but also has a very spiritual side and integrates other aspects of how to rebalance the body. But he has really good sense.
And Leni, and what about the people that you work with?
Well, it would be fantastic. Like Dave and Laura Knox are definitely high-end Chinese medicine doctors. I would love to integrate them. That would be amazing. That would be very, very amazing to have part of the team.
Are they based in Nelson?
Yes, yeah. And so,
And they're TCMs.
go ahead, Jillian.
They're TCMs, right?
Yeah, the TCM, but also deeply rooted in cranial sacrum therapy and lymph drainage at a really, really high level on both modalities. Like Dave is specializing in rehabilitating brain functions. And so, especially with patients that have had tremendous trauma or concussions. So, like, he's very knowledgeable in that as well.
Stephen, good morning. Welcome.
I have intermittent internet service. I'm on the island right now, so we'll see how it goes.
Okay, great. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
Okay, we're just making a list of practitioners and looking at a way to bring them all together and get them all talking about lasting health
As a team.
as a team.
Yeah.
And then we've got, of course, we've got Ray and Ariel and Rigo here in Vancouver. So what I'm seeing is that this is an opportunity to bring together those who are already familiar with the development of the Lasting Health Program, but to bring others on board as well. Do you want to speak a bit to that, Richard and Jillian?
Yes. Well, one of the things is the next steps on that would be setting a date and, well, first of all, being in contact and being in communication with all these people and then having a rolling conversation for them to see what lasting health is for them and for their interest, and then bringing the that bringing that team, I envision a day together where we can all have a planning session together and put everybody's ideas together and bring them in up to date with the Lasting Health program.
So the way I see the timing for that and where we're at in the development process is in a way that gathering would take the place of the gathering that we've been talking about happening in January, which would be a more wide open development session. But in this, we're bringing together the practitioners and we're focusing on them and their perspective on the Lasting Health program.
You're on mute, Gillian.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Actually, I'm not sure if that's conflating two different things. I see the CASLO, because this is the CASLO meeting that we're talking about right now, is team building and all the things Richard just said, and what you're talking about, Joe, which is what Florence wants us to do, is sort of prototype what we've got to others, you know, maybe not practitioners. I don't know. So that's obviously a discussion to have today.
Yeah, I didn't mean to conflate them. I guess what I meant more is that we would want to have the gathering of practitioners before we move to that phase of development, of prototyping. Perhaps only from just a scheduling perspective. If are we going to focus on both, or are we going to focus on one at a time?
As much as I'd like to, we have to do one at a time. We can't do two things at once. Yes, that would make sense to have that first.
You talked previously about, you know, bringing people together to kind of create with them what the vision and values are of the Sentinel. And that, so then there may be an enrollment conversation to have around, you know, and it sounds like they're already in the conversation with you about what the Sentinel is about, and the fact that they're considering or have decided to be practitioners, but actually bringing them together to get a shared understanding of various core pieces that you've already created around what the vision and values are, and from there create with them what teamwork would look like and what they'll collaborate on.
Yeah, exactly, Helena. There's next steps to do, and I think for us is to plan, being in communication with everybody, setting a date, having somebody facilitate the day, and to make it happen. So there's a number of steps to take for that to happen, and one of those would be to set a date. Two would be to be in communication with all these people. That may be, I would envision, Gillian and myself and Lainey and John to sort of bring that together, maybe Ray as well, and or whoever wants to be on that, but then set it up and have a date up in CASLO.
And I was thinking of, am I on mute? Am I on mute? No,
we can hear
I was
you.
thinking also that David might want to, we might invite David to come and facilitate that team building.
Exactly. Yeah.
That would be great. And not all of them actually know that we're thinking about them. Most of them do. I don't know about the people Leni mentioned, but some of them we met, and most of them just showed up because they heard about us and said, hey, I want to know what you're doing. And so we have met with most of the people we've talked about, but not in the context of, they were coming to say, this is who I am, you know, don't forget me when you get started. And we didn't even have a lasting program concept at that program.
Right.
So this will be rather new for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that as soon as possible, it's probably a good idea to have a team leader for that team.
Yeah.
We'll work, hand in hand with John and Joanne and Richard, but I don't know, Lainey, if that's what you're going to do, or Ray, or if anybody has an interest in that, but I think it's really important that we, as we develop teams, John doesn't continue to be the leader of each team, but there's a more localized leader for each one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was hoping that Leni will consider that because it just makes perfect sense. She's a leader, and her experience and expertise and where she lives. So it will be really wonderful if Leni can do that. And we're talking about her as though she's not here. So I guess we're inviting you, Leni, to join the team as the leader.
Goodness gracious. So I would love to. Like, for me right now, I'm very, very busy at the clinic, at the Fort Knox, I call it. So it has to be, of course, planned in advance. But I'm more than happy to work with that. Yeah, for sure. And it would totally make sense. I'm here, and I know most of the people that you invite or that came to you already. So there's a little bit of a relationship already there. And for that aspect, definitely, I can try that position.
Wonderful.
Great. And one of the
That's
things
great,
about,
Lainey.
and you're great, Lainey, thank you. And one of the things of leadership is that you have this great
Let's
team
talk
around.
about a date.
Thanks, Richard.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. So I just want to complete that because it's one of the things that we talk about, and it goes with the wellness, is that for all of us, it's like stepping into a leadership role doesn't mean that you actually it's an overwhelming experience. It's actually the experience of actually seeing that there's other people in life. We started off this conversation with Marsha's sharing of exactly that. Her friend, when she knew that she had people around her and a team that she could be in communication with, her whole energy was freed up. And that is a lasting health way of being. And the same thing, what I want to start at this point, when we say, Leni, we honor you to be the lead, take the lead in this. It doesn't mean that it's an overwhelming experience. If it is, then that's the conversation to go, where is it overwhelming and what can we create in this world with ease, and have you be the leader and take just the stand of that, right? That you stand in that place and we're all here for you.
Aw, Richard, you're so nice. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Yeah, you're very sensitive. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I definitely, like, the role as a leader is not difficult for me at all. And it's just a matter of managing the patient load, right? And so that I can be centered and a good leader that way, and work with people who have the same vision. I really honor the opportunity. And we talked before, to me, it's a little bit of a dream, having a healing center. That's why I am doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. And just to complete that, is that when I look around in the world of Leni, and I look around in Kaslo, Nelson, and the world, there's not one person that doesn't look at you as a leader. Just to let you know that, okay?
Thank you, Richard. Thank you very much.
Natural way of being. So thank you.
Yeah, and to just add one thing to that, Leni, I like the landmark, how they hold leader, the position leader. Your job as leader is to create leadership in your team of other people, support other people in becoming leaders. Now with this team, it's not going to be too difficult because you got a lot of leaders on there, but it's really supporting their leadership rather than the old fashioned idea of leadership is where you tell people what to do and do everything yourself kind of thing.
Yeah, I see that. It's like when I worked in avalanche forecasting and control, that authoritarian pyramid shaped model, we turn it around actually.
Yeah.
And that is to me good leadership, right? And so I really, really appreciate the support. And of course, deep in my heart, it's like, oh my God, what will this bring? Of course, there are always these unknowns in which we all carry in our hearts, right? And but it doesn't transfer or translate or transform into fear. It transforms into excitement and into an amazing opportunity. So thank you all for choosing me there. Thank you.
Looks like did John fall off the call?
I'm here, but my video has dropped off and I can't get it working.
Okay, but you've been hearing and listening and.
I have, yes. Yep.
So John, you brought up setting a date.
Yes.
And in regards to that date, John is not in the country for the month of February. And Gillian and Richard aren't back in the country until January the 13th. However, it would be really great to have that date be before John leaves, before the end of January, if that's at all possible. And if not, we'll do it at the beginning of March. So.
Yeah, Gillian, I'm thinking, well, John's out of the country. I think there's some preliminary stuff we could start, and we could set a date for mid-February, and then have secondary meetings.
Well, I want him to be there though, and Florence.
Exactly, and we can have initial meetings and then follow up with that too. So I'm putting in for the middle of February.
I don't understand.
And then we can have another secondary meeting in March.
Okay.
What would happen in the preliminary meeting?
It would be just a getting together and a meeting, so everybody's gets to know each other. There's a number of conversations too before that, is to be in telephone conversations and see where people are on board.
So do you mean coming together in phone conversations, a Zoom meeting, that kind of thing in February before gathering everyone together?
I would think that we could have just a get to know meeting.
I think it needs to be structured, Richard. I think some people probably know each other anyway, but I think we can do some developing relationship conversations, but a meeting with everybody, I think, needs to be structured with the way we want it to go, however that is, with someone leading it. And doing something before that doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, so beginning of March. When are you back, John?
I'm back on March, the first weekend in March. I think it's the 4th.
And then let's have a look. And Leonie, what do you think a good day for people are? Is it a weekend day?
Yeah, I have to plan my life around it anyhow because I'm working on Saturdays, so I would just block that Saturday off. But I think weekends are good. Yeah. like I am, like my schedules now are as of next Friday, so I will be at the Sentinel just in the afternoon to just start off the traditional Chinese medicine work there. As of the 12th and 19th, and then from the 22nd to the 29th, I'm going to have a somatic emotional release cranial sacrum therapy course in Edmonton. So I won't be here that last week, or last week of January. So, and that, yeah. So do I hear that right? That our get together will be then more towards March, or can we swing it for the 20th? 20th
Yeah,
and 21st.
2 weeks from now. Is that realistic?
What day is that?
Saturday and Sunday, the 20th, 21st.
21st. Let me just quickly, I just rescheduled some patients. I think I do have booking there, but
David's not available then if you wanted him to facilitate that
Yeah,
meeting.
helpful, Helena. Okay.
Yeah, we'll be in Portland.
Is he available March the 9th?
I think that it might be better to contact the people, because the majority of people that you want at this meeting aren't on this call.
Yes.
And so trying to
Time.
find a date on this call might be not the best.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's
Yes.
available March 9th.
March 10th. Yeah.
I think it's still good to just create some framework and an understanding what people schedule in, and the people who are not on the call, to see how they then would fit into it. So I think
Great. So why don't we
Continue this conversation offline.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and what happens in that is the list of people, contacts, and who will make which calls. Yeah. Okay, great.
Thank you.
So we can move on to another topic then. What topic is that?
I think, John, at this point, I'd like to hear from you just what you think we might be talking about. So I know there isn't an actual plan for this call, but I'd like to know when you think about, well, moving forward looks like this, or it could look like that. I'd like to know what's on your mind.
Okay, I'll make it up right now. Because I've been thinking about so many different things in different directions. Most of my thinking is towards content, and I think that's a kind of an intensive development session as well, just like bringing the practitioners together for a couple of days. Bringing a group together to look at content for 2-3 days would advance the program tremendously. We've got, I think we've got a good start on the vision and a good start on the outcomes. And both of those needs some continued fleshing out and some coalescing and condensing. And with that vision and with those outcomes, we can start looking at the actual content of the program. And some parts of it I've got a pretty good idea of. But there's lots more to look at, to develop, and to look at how it unfolds, how the different pieces relate to one another, in terms of where they begin in the program. Rigo is here. Welcome. Good to see you.
Hey guys.
Would you like me to keep talking, Jillian?
I thought Richard was talking. Is he on mute?
Yeah, I was just on mute. So, so just putting it out there with no, like, it looks like X. What does everybody think, like, when they say, okay, for a client coming in, what would a lasting health program look like? What would envision? I can start, and just put it out there. I would envision people coming, a group of people coming each week to the Sentinel. I would like to see them be from the moment that they leave, let's say Vancouver, they're already enrolled in this space. They've been in contact with people. Somebody's been in communication with them. They already have the connection and relationship happening. And then they're looked after, they're brought there. I'd love to see a charter flight right into Kaslo. They get picked up, they come to the Sentinel, and before they've even got there, they may have even had been tested. We've talked about having a saliva test and checked out and what their bodies need. And then during that time, during the week, that they are well fed with organic foods, and they have 2 treatments a day, and private coaching sessions and group coaching sessions. And then afterwards, they have before they leave, they're set up and they're paired off with another person in that group, and they are kept in communication. And they also have a coaching session during each week. I also look at it as that the initial stage of coming in here in the first week is like almost like the buy-in, because we're actually looking at a 1-year program here, and there's going to be people that, well, do I want to come into a 1-year program? Well, the first week, the first entry point and everything that comes up to that first week is there, having that first week. And then they would probably go, you know what, this is fantastic. This is really for me. I buy into it and I want to sign up for a year-long program, or they don't. So that's part of what I'm thinking about.
That's awesome.
One of the things that I see in this process as well, which you mentioned briefly with the saliva test, Richard, is a full-on assessment, so that we can figure out what it is that they want as well, what their health needs are. So that could be, on all sorts of like the 5 quadrants, whether it's, your work, career, relationship, physical health, emotional health, psychological health, spiritual. So we have an assessment of that too with each person, so that we know what they're looking for, and also to help them identify and get clarity on what it is that they want. So I think that should be, whether it's before they come or during the process, I'm not sure.
That's definitely where I was thinking too, and I thought that especially the intake, that would be great to have it quite thorough, so that those questions are already answered. And when the patient comes to Sentinel for this 1 week, and I actually would suggest that the first program would be 2 weeks. Because if we get people like Marcia's friend with SIBO, for example, these people are very sick, right? And a 1 week treatment opportunity, I think, might be more or too much of a rush. But again, it depends on the severity of the pathology, right? And so, yeah, it has to be quite individual, which makes it more complicated in a way. It's not going to be like a generic, like Richard, when I did Discovery Canada, right? It was quite generic. It was, we're going hiking. This is very fine-tuned, individualized, and customized for what the pathology is, and especially if you get people that have multiple illnesses, right? Like, Marcia, with your friend, you know, having autoimmune, having SIBO, having who knows what, you know, those people are very, very fragile, and so just for them to get to pathway is a big deal. And so hosting them for a longer period of time, or having that option would be fantastic, you know. But the what they want to look at, or what they want to come out with it, should be already answered before they come to the program. That's what I would think. And then in regards to what modality, I mean, we will have that conversation most probably when we get together as practitioners, you know. And John and I, we had that conversation already in regards to, like, how do we start? Do we start with naturopathic medicine? Are we going to start with Chinese medicine? Are we going to start with coaching first, you know? And that is, again, a very individualized decision for the patient. I know I'm making it more complicated.
I wouldn't say that, Leni. This is, I mean, we have to look at this from all these different perspectives. One of the things that I want to point out is that we have already said that we are not creating a clinical program. And so when we talk about treatment, I think we have to recognize that treatment isn't necessarily at the beginning of the program specific. It's more supportive of a person's well-being, and supportive of them opening up to the process of learning how to create lasting health.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of probably most of the people that come into the program will be coming with some health support. They'll have doctors, naturopaths, massage therapists that they have seen or are seeing. They may have a diagnosis, and they may be very experienced in managing and adapting to their own situation. So that beginning, that if we put the treatment aspect and a diagnostic aspect just to the side for a moment, and we look at how to bring people into the program, I see the intake being quite robust before they arrive. That once people have signed up, there is a lot that can be done in terms of questionnaires, a request that people write about specific things, and probably have some kind of an initial coaching conversation, not necessarily the beginning of a coaching program, but a way for them to hold what they're doing prior to their arrival. And then that initial week be about bringing people into the process of their of their lives unfolding towards lasting health, which means coaching, one-on-one coaching, some supportive treatment sessions like massage and craniosacral and those kinds of things that can, in a way, bring comfort and support and opening and to the to all the conversation that's happening. I would like to begin that first week with a process called River of Life, which takes a person through over a period of a day, through a recollection of the unfolding of their life from the very beginning, and actually even before their birth, using objects, using objects that are meaningful to them, and some found objects and objects that are brought into the process by the workshop leader. And basically what people are doing there is they're writing their autobiography. They're not writing it, they're putting it, laying it out on the floor in objects. And once it's a very powerful process that gets one in touch with what the resourceful things of their life that have happened and the traumatic things in their life have happened when they happened in context with the other events of their life. It lays the ground for people to be open to to this process of being able to look at themselves, not as a subjective experience of their lives, but an objective experience of the symptomology that they experience. So building a week around that involves all the things that you mentioned, Richard. And allows us to get a sense of what direction people need to go. Like your point, Leni, about Marsha's friend. In a way, asking someone to start moving on their recovery, on their healing, can be very, very challenging. If they've experienced that kind of symptomology over a period of time, simply being held in the lasting health energy of the sentinel and being given some very careful holding as they look at their life. And it brings in everything that you've said, Steve, that the river of life is an opportunity to look at one's life from perspective of family and relationship, from one's work life and ability to nourish oneself and bring well-being into their life, their expression of themselves in terms of purpose in life, an opportunity to look at what extreme symptomology has done to the way in which they relate to themselves. and begin to feel the ability within all of that to shift in the direction of lasting health.
Wow, John, that's really, really, really beautiful. I'm really getting that you're talking about creating like an attitudinal world that's open in a new kind of way for people.
Yeah. And I think, you know, I would like people to come into the program having bought in, enrolled, and they're there. But then there's another level, Richard, that you're talking about that happens in that week, where they actually really drop in to the possibility of lasting health for themselves in a way that they haven't been able to grasp before. Because they now have all the elements in front of them. They can see them, they can feel them, they can touch into it in themselves.
And while you're saying this, John, what came to me is, and that's exactly what's missing in the medical system, right? That care. So I 100% agree with that first supportive phase. It's fantastic. Very, very supportive and deeply opening for the patient. There's an amazing opportunity there. So, yeah, very beautiful. Love it.
From there, we can begin to look at what the treatment needs are, because the participant is looking at it from a different perspective now after that first week, and they're able to communicate with the practitioners in a different way. They're more on board with the practitioners than they ever have been.
I think
And that will change the relationship.
John, in what you both have been saying, actually, for me, is really clear messaging that's really important, is that the treatment elements are there to support people through the process. And it's almost like it's in conjunction to other treatments that they're already undergoing, and none of this is seeking to replace, but be complementary into any other treatment or healthcare that they're receiving. And I think in terms of messaging, like I just finally kind of clicked, I kind of just got it there. So I think just taking note of that being an important element of how the program is described.
Yeah, and I think it'll be different for each participant. Some participants we will be adding something on to support their existing protocols. Some people are going to change direction entirely. And then it's going to be the practitioners that are associated with the program that are going to take over for those people in all likelihood. Some people are going to be adding on because one of the things that we're going to be teaching is to, and supporting people, is to be comfortable in exploring beyond convention. And that means they open up to support that they haven't explored before. Like some people, massage is a weird thing. Or craniosacral is a weird thing, or traditional Chinese medicine is a weird thing. Naturopathic medicine is a weird thing to many people. And to open them up to all of those possibilities is something that the program will do. And what is best for each person will be something that it gets discovered, I think, as the program unfolds. Probably more so in the beginning, because we want to make sure that people do have the medical clinical support that they need. We don't want people floundering without it. So there's going to be some funneling, some channeling, some advising, and participants are going to be exploring new practitioners, both at the Sentinel and at home. And then as this opens up, we need to look at the flow of the program. At what point are people prepared for more nutritional support? Like I wonder if the diet for that first week is an elimination diet, where they get fantastic food, have a wonderful food experience, but it's an across-the-board elimination diet. So people are not eating grains, not eating sugar, not caffeine, not soy, not eggs, none of that stuff. That's the thing that so that's something that that's a bigger conversation. But then we look at how do we support people to carry that on if they choose to for the next month. At which point they'll have a clearer idea of the customized diet that is best for them.
You just about the diets there, John, I think it's very interesting. One thing that just came to me then is that I'm at my sister's place here, and they have this dietary menu, food, everything there. It's not actually cooked, but it's actually delivered to their house. And they, so, you know, it's got all the best elements for people to eat, organic and best food sources, and with recipes. And it's amazing because there's companies like that actually do that. So on an ongoing basis, I could see that we could connect with a group in either Vancouver or other cities that actually can deliver on the dietary needs of people as well, or the educational program around how you actually shop and how you actually source food.
Yeah.
The whole area in there, and then the support system around that.
Yeah. And I'm offering that up as an example, as, you know, so maybe that first week everyone gets an experience of what an elimination diet is and how it's completely possible for them to enjoy it. But maybe the intensive dietary changes don't happen until the second immersion week, 3 months later. We need to go inside the program and look at what's possible in week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, and each immersion week as they come back to the Sentinel. Just to clarify that, I noticed there was a question on the mind map about that. I'm not sure people understand what is being proposed. What's being proposed is that there be 4 immersive weeks, 4 weeks at the Sentinel. The very first week of the program, then at 3 months, at 6 months, and at 9 months, people would return for 1 immersive week. And then in between that, they're back home. There is online stuff. There's group coaching, there's one-on-one coaching, there's whatever practitioners they're seeing, and so on.
I have a question. It's Ray here.
Hi, Ray.
I'm not sure where to start. Have you guys researched the demographic or your ideal client in terms of who's going to be consuming these programs? Because a lot of what I've heard, John, I just want to back up what you were just saying earlier before we started talking about the program stuff. When you talked about the vision stuff, I was really inspired by that. It was amazing. It's probably one of the first times on these calls that I actually have been, I got a sense of like where this is actually coming from, because when you have leaders and visionaries creating a program coming from a side of doing this now for years in a number of ways, the core of a program is going to be reflecting what's in the hearts of its leaders, right? And I really felt that come through, and I just want to thank you for that, because I've missed a couple of calls, I think, and felt a little bit disconnected from the vision of it. I get a little bit lost and muddled when we start talking about everything that falls under the realm of integrated health and naturopathic medicine, because that's where I don't see originality. And that's where I go into, hey, I'm running a business and I've had to face like harsh realities of here's my beautiful vision and who's going to actually consume this? So
yeah,
and I think this all just is going to have to get sorted out. And I would love to have offline conversations with about some of this stuff, because I just keep hearing repeated this world that I live in, the retreat world, the diet planning world. I just did an elimination diet with somebody yesterday, and it's not for everybody. And, I'm always faced with this, like you create something for one person and it doesn't work for another. And I just see that there's going to be some pretty interesting learning experiences that the Sentinel is going to go through, because you're actually, when you start to focus on health, like you say, John, people have, like you, done a ton already, like most, and so I have like 2,000 clients, at Empower Health. These could be prospective clients for the Sentinel, but I'm not going to be sending my clients to a program where people who are not naturopaths, who understand a lot of this stuff, aren't necessarily spearheading it, because already a lot of the stuff mentioned, elimination diets, the saliva test, I'm already thinking gimmicky. Like I'm already thinking.
I can't hear you quite. Just went quieter. Could you say that last bit again? You're not going to be sending?
Well, no, I say I wouldn't. I'm trying to think of how I'm sorry, I wouldn't want to send. I want to link our two worlds. There's like in terms of like me, all this work I've done for 5 years, building up connections and clientele and reaching out to the people who consume this kind of stuff. Am I being heard?
yes,
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I'm still like, if I can't see a way that I can send, but when you talked earlier about the qualitative aspects of the mental and emotional coaching, I mean, this is Jillian and Richard, the landmark program, why I'm so inspired to be a part of this. That is where it's unique. And so it keeps coming to me. This is a retreat program. And I'm, and you don't have to call it that. You can call it whatever you want. But as far as like the realm or the demographic that you're, because you're out all the way out in Kaslo, okay? And so there's not a population there, or is there? So I don't know. This is why I'm asking if you guys have done the market research in terms of where your clientele is going to be coming from and what they want. Because I'm telling you right now, I have access to a huge realm in this area, and I have access to clinics who could use this service that you're providing, but they're not gonna, go, okay, here, go do another saliva test and an elimination. If it was very clear the kind of elimination that's being done, and I know the type of client that need that kind of thing, I would for sure send them, right? You know what I mean? But so this is where I get really confused in terms of how I can actually contribute to this, because the kind of medical program development that you guys are talking about, you need an on-site person who lives in Kaslo doing this. Not like I would love to be involved, but I'm developing the exact same program here in Vancouver through Empower Health, even up to the actual psychological stuff that you're talking about, because I've had so much amazing influence from people like Jillian and Richard, and from the somatic world and the trauma world. And I bring, you know, my profession, like my own job is to bring practitioners together. I know what they want. So in terms of like, what kind of practitioners is this kind of retreat program going to appeal to, and what are they going to want? What are they going to want from you, right? So I just, like, when you started talking about that little spiel that you just did, I was like, bam, that's your money right there. I was like, that suddenly, like, me as a naturopath, I'm interested. And suddenly I'm like, I can actually make a connection between why I would want one of my clients to go and consume your program. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So what's the three key things that you would say would be what you want? And that's one question. And secondly, the vision is the Lasting Health Program is not just the Sentinel. It's everywhere. It's in Vancouver. It's incorporating you guys.
Yeah.
Rigo, everything, and then to get on board on like where we're at, and so we're affiliating with each other, and so.
The affiliating piece, if it is in Vancouver, we're developing the same program then. So I mean, this exact conversations I'm having with my team, exactly like the same kind of programs, and we're deciding where we want to open up a retreat center to do all of this stuff. So like, so I guess like, I want to affiliate, but it's like, it's still very unclear to me how it's actually because I want success for the Sentinel and for us and for everybody. It's actually, we're all one, right? It's not that I'm thinking, but this is me trying to speak. I'm not the leader of this group, right? I'm a leader in my own group, and I'm trying to be sort of a stakeholder here to get you guys the information. Just let it come out in a raw way, because I haven't been able to contribute. I haven't felt I've been able to contribute because I haven't, well, I've been really busy, obviously, developing our programs and stuff, but I'm not seeing yet, and it's because it's in the initial development, I'm not seeing how that fits, like how that would fit, like if we're actually developing the exact same program in Vancouver, even though you're calling it something different, it really, at the end of the day, we have to think about, like, you know, when somebody's Googling and what they want, or where you're getting your clients from, you know, how that actually fits, right? So I don't, it's hard for me to make sense, honestly, talking about this stuff, because so much of what comes up, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I feel like I'm being transposed into the exact same conversation that I'm having on a day-to-day basis in developing Empower Health programs. And I have an amazing team of practitioners around me, and I'm basically just a couple years ahead in terms of the team development in that sense. I mean, Jillian, you've been right there with me. You've been there with me, Richard, for a lot of it. But when I first got inspired to be involved with the Sentinel, I was like, there's a gap with us in terms of that retreat program side of things. There's not a gap with us in terms of needing somebody to do an assessment for us. So that would be a completely different, well, there'd be overlapping clientele, right? But, you know, somebody who comes to us would be looking for customized programming, not a preset program, which is what you guys are talking about, right? So we would be, because it's being developed by a practitioner who is expert in this, i.e. myself, a program that would be developed by myself would be custom. And a person who I would send to the Sentinel would be somebody who would need the exact model that the Sentinel is providing, which does work for a lot of people. But even just sending somebody for an elimination diet, if I've got an eating disorders person, they ain't going to go to the Sentinel, right? So that's how specific I would be getting in terms of the difference between something the Empower Health program would do versus. But if I knew it was focused on the communications, and if I knew it was focused on the personal development stuff, which is what so many people on this call are experts in, that, you know what I mean? That's, I would send somebody to Sentinel. Like, what the stuff that John just said was like, I felt a relief. I was like, oh my God, this is what my clients need. This is what the people who come to me need, because I can't provide it. I'm busy running a really busy clinic, you know, and if it's not us that, if it, you know, it's kind of funny because these same problems we've been trying to develop, we haven't had access to property or all these other things. We keep talking about, we need intensive programs for people. That's the one thing, that's the only thing my clients are missing, is an intensive program where people can go on a retreat and be together with a group of people. It's that group healing energy, right? And to be able to get that versus what we provide is the ongoing care and assessment, right? The ongoing care and assessment close to their home, like the regular meeting, like coming in, like the groups that are in Vancouver, you know, now we have anxiety groups, we have the trauma groups, we have, you know, these things developing. How can I, like, I'm actually asking, what am I sending? I want to send all, like, everybody to you guys, because I know there's a total gem in there. You know what I mean? And it's like, every single one of you on this call, it's like I would send anybody to any single one of you guys, and to a retreat. I'd 100% trust anything that you guys would develop. So it's just a matter of me saying this so that maybe there's something in there that can help you guys, right?
So what you've said is that one thing that's missing in the areas is the integration and the continual coaching and the support in between, and that's the whole basis. And then what else would you need? What else is in this space?
The retreat aspect and the group, like the intensives, like, so for example, like I refer people into Landmark, right? But it's not that's not also meant for everybody. That it's not, some people have maybe, you know, preconceived ideas of what that is, So I have a list of like these weekend intensive things that I send people to. What, you know, if what you guys are creating, these intro weekends, is the equivalent, but just more customized to this demographic that wants lasting health, you know, it wouldn't be me sending to Landmark or to Clearmind or it would be me sending to the Sentinel program. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like that's something that every time I'm sitting in front of a patient, I'm going, man, they just need to, like, you know, there's a certain amount of time that it takes to change your brain. And, you know, I'm giving them all the stuff about diets and this and and like all this stuff. Like, oh my gosh, I have 18 versions of the elimination diet that I change every 6 months. I have a new version of it. So it's like, you know, that's not the problem with people. The problem is the, you know, it's like they go back to their home, they go back to their life. It's, you know, they go back to the stress, they go back to relationships that are toxic. And that's the problem that we keep trying to solve with all of our trauma programs and everything. It's the key thing. It's why I went into this profession, was to create a business that would be a leader in its community, to create community, right? And to, you know, link into all that stuff, because community is what people lack. We're isolated, you know, we're cogs in this economic system, you know. I think people innately know what's going to heal them. Like, we know what's healthy for us, but we don't do it because we're addicted, you know, and all these other things. So
Ray, thank you. As you're speaking, you know, brings me back to this question about, you know, this defining the Lasting Health program at the Sentinel as not being a clinical program. And if that's true, then to what degree, how do we support the clinical aspects of a person's lasting health? Because we need there needs to be some mechanism in there because we want to integrate the medical support and clinical needs of a participant and give them that absolute essential support that you're talking about, that allows them to make those changes.
So to do that, so say Empower Health doesn't exist, and I'm not even talking about Empower Health doing that for the Sentinel at all, because I want it to be a pure conversation. As now as a member of the Sentinel talking me, okay? You need to do that, to integrate that medical side. You need and maybe it's Rigo, I don't know, but because certainly as I'm developing Empower Health, that's going to be next to impossible time-wise for me to do. I can certainly advise, but you need a core medical director. You need a medical director that's going to direct that stuff. Because if you start to present programs that are in the medical field, like saliva tests, all these things, for example, I know the moment that science says that saliva test is not valid anymore, that research has supported that that's not valid anymore. You know what I mean? You need somebody who's in the core team, who is, no, not in the core team, like the staff team. You know what I mean? Like that level, not just an advisor, but somebody who's going to be on staff doing that with you guys, because that medical side is, I know that, Rigo can speak to this, but most of you are consumers of that side, right? So you need somebody who that's their profession on that side. And that certainly is definitely not me. That would be developing the medical side of Empower Health, Sentinel, right? And it's not because I wouldn't want to, but I'd basically be replicating what I'm doing at Empower Health somewhere else, and there's only one of me, right? So, and until I go bankrupt with Empower Health, and that's a conversation I've had with Jillian, I've got 2 more years. It's doing really well. It's turning around. It's been blood, sweat, and tears, and I've given myself a deadline of 2 more years of this. Maybe it's me. I'll work for you guys. I think you need somebody who's actually in the field, and I don't believe it's going to be Devin if she hasn't showed up to any of these calls yet. Just even the use of the word functional medicine. I just posted an article today. It was a memory I posted a year ago. It's even just to know the history of that word and where it comes from, and actually, as far as as a naturopath is concerned, the way we look at that word, and it's the publicity word, for medicine, for naturopathic medicine. You need either a doctor who's been trained in these weekend functional medicine courses who knows a bit about it, or you need a naturopathic doctor, somebody that's their profession, is trained in that kind of assessment and treatment plans. So I don't know, Rigo.
I think that's a private conversation. I should have to first.
We have one in Caslow, actually. We do have an amazing practitioner, like a naturopathic doctor. Her name is Dr. Jessie Spears. And Ray, that would be the person. Absolutely. She lives in Caslow. She practices there. She was one of my professors. She's just super fun, super down to earth. Let's ask her. I so appreciate what you just said.
Yeah, I think exactly. Depending if the Sentinel is based in, because that's the other thing, brick and mortar. This is the thing with Empower Health. We're coming the opposite direction. You guys are going really wide and coming in, but actually no, you're not. You're kind of the same. You created the space and the energy of the space, right, at the Sentinel. I think somebody based there is probably your key person, is going to be your key person to do that.
Ray,
sorry.
The practitioner intensive that we spoke of, do you see yourself being able to participate in that?
I hope so. I'm getting my eggs frozen. I'm going through an intense 2-month period. This is me dabbling across the I'm going to get a hormone, and so if it works, I could definitely be there. But it's what I feel like I can offer is and Jillian can attest to this, just insight into how to bring practitioners together and how not to.
Good point. I think this is a great contribution, Ray. And just for the record, it's really cold in Caslow up at the moment, so I'm sure we could look into freezing our eggs while you're there. But that's a joke. In Caslow. I get what you're saying, and yes, that was initially why Devon is on this team, and she's not able to make these meetings, and that's a conversation to have with her, and I'm really happy to hear about this woman that I didn't know about, that you just said, Leni, and so I don't want to continue this thread for much further, except that it needs a lot more later development, and it's a really important piece. And there's one other piece I wanted to say. What was that? Shit, I've lost it. So what you're saying is that we can't make this. Oh, I know the point. But just one other little thing. So I'm hearing you say is that we can't develop the program that we're talking about without a present in-person in Kaslo at the Sentinel doctor of some kind. We can't use the doctors who are like you and Rigo elsewhere and have them come and do the development part that we're talking about.
Yeah, this is
that we started off with in the beginning with the flow of life and that kind of stuff. Because that's what I'm thinking we could do is, of course, we're not clinical, but there are clinical supports that need to happen. And I'm thinking, as Richard has said, I think alluded to before, that would be aligning with other clinics like Empower Health and wherever Rigo works. And so you're saying it really does need to have somebody focused who is a doctor of some kind or other there present.
I think so. Just the way the conversations keep going toward, because like the conversations keep going to. Well, frankly, they're health medical. Like you're talking a lot about medical things, and it's not just health from like my view of health is much bigger, and I think yours is too. But and in terms of the mind-body medicine side of things, the people that you have in Kaslo already that are part of the core team could handle that no problem, including you, Jillian. Actually, like that's So I just think, yeah, exactly. You summed it up. You need somebody there.
Okay, great. And so thank you. And so one other thing I just want request, John, you talk just very briefly on the book you've been reading, because the initial thing that Ray said was, well, who is the market? Who are our where are we getting our clients from?
Sure.
And if you could just talk about that, I think that is very helpful.
I'll speak to that. But first, let me just weigh in on the conversation that's just wrapping up. I see more and more the importance of bringing the practitioners together and having a generative conversation about what actually is it that the Sentinel Lasting program does and doesn't do, and therefore, being really clear about, say, a decision that it needs a resident medical director. I think that day or 2 days with the practitioners is really, really important in terms of the direction of the program.
Can I say one last thing about that? That's actually just the piece about bringing the practitioners together.
Yeah.
What I've learned from Empower Health is what I visioned, what I wanted to have happen. Like I was like, I want this, and this, and this, and this, and now I have to find these practitioners that are going to do this for me. And what you just touched on, John, in terms of getting the practitioners together and why, that is exactly why you have to get them together, because the Sentinel program is going to be created and maintained. It's the key word, maintained by the practitioners that are there. No matter what your guys' visions are, it's the people who are going to be on site and doing the full-time jobs that are going to create the program. And so Empower Health had to go through so many evolutions because of that. Like I had what my vision was.
Yeah.
But then like basically Empower Health programs actually now fully depend on the people who are actually there. So I just wanted to reinforce that. So, yeah.
Great, thank you. Yeah. What Jillian is pointing to, I was having a conversation with her last night about a book that I'm reading called The Creation of an Elder Culture. And it's written by a guy that wrote a seminal book back in the late 60s called The Counterculture. He was the guy that he didn't create that term, but he's the one that popularized the term counterculture. And he was talking about the baby boomers. We look at the baby boomers and we kind of think of them as having this defined personality, and they get labeled in a way as being responsible for things that really, it's what we're talking about is the evolution of our culture, and it just happens to have this blip, which it's never going to have again. The baby boomers, all these people born after the Second World War, in an intensive desire to respond to the trauma that had happened mid-century, in the beginning, in the mid-century of the 1900s. But what's happening with the baby boomers is that they have created the economy as they have moved through their lives in a substantial way. And what's being created now, because of the way in which the baby boomers are living into their elder years, is a healthcare economy. And he makes a very strong case for the inevitability of this. It's happening, and it's going to continue to develop. But one of the points that he makes is that, why do we look at that any different than any other product? Why do we look at it as a draw upon our economy, that medical costs are so high because there's so many people that need them? If you turn it around and you look at it as the actual foundation of the economy, you end up looking at the manufacturing of health in an individual the same way that you'd look at the manufacturing of a product like a car. We're not making cars in North America, but we're making healthy people. And that is just as much a formula for a healthy economy as making any other product. And it is happening, and it's going to continue to happen. And it defines the market for what all of us in the medical health field are doing. So it's an optimistic message. That we can run with.
Yeah. Thanks, John. And we have done, just to go forward with that, is that we have done an intensive national research on that, and there's actual trends, and it's growing at 20% a year. It's one of the largest sectors. Wellness is the largest sectors growing in the world at the moment, and so it just backs up the book that you're talking about there, John.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Jillian, did that?
That's really great, and so thank you. And I see we have about 20 minutes left, and I'm curious, because this is our last group meeting. I'd like to have a sort of a time of completion of the group as a whole on these Sunday morning meetings, which we're going to continue in different ways, and just really talk about also that, the continuation of moving forward together, but not in this particular format. So maybe that's just asking each of you to say where you're at, where you might want to be involved, or whatever it is you might want to say to complete having been with us for these last couple of months, or whatever, how long it is. And that I open it up to each of you to.
And we have 1 minute each.
1 minute each.
So, yeah. 10 or 2 minutes.
Minute and a half. 90 seconds.
Okay.
Okay, it's Marcia.
I'll be the timer.
30 seconds. This has been a really interesting, incredibly rich call, and I'm really digesting, no pun intended, on the elimination diet here. Everything that's been said that's just been so valuable. So, yeah, I'm just hanging out, taking it all in.
Thanks. And Richard here, unless Gillian wants to go. Okay, Richard.
I just wanted to ask you, Marcia, is there anything overall with moving forward, or you're just in for the ride?
I'm just on the ride right now.
And what a ride it is, because I remember from the very beginning, it's like the whole process is being eliminating. It's eliminating, because it's the from where we've come together. I mean, for myself, this process has been the process. You know, we've all got together. We've got 9, 10 people together. It's what it takes for exactly what we're talking about: mind, body, and spirit, and the wellness. So for me, I've learned so much through this whole process of groups of people coming together with in different areas of life and being able to make, you know, envision. We had no idea what this, you know, lasting health would even look like, feel like, taste like. And here we are, I don't know how many months it is, 4 months later. And, you know, I feel like it's a fantastic foundation to moving forward. There's so much richness that's come from each individually. And really, I can't do it right now, but individually, I really thank all of you so much, because you have so much given to me personally. And not only that, you're all birthing something that makes a difference in the world. So it's really, really important to get that. And I'm in for the long haul.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Marcia.
I'll go ahead. I find this process, these last few weeks of calls, extremely enriching, very educational. I've had to think about things that I didn't think were relevant until I learned about them. And I love the level of structure that John has given us to communicate with one another. And I love, you know, that there's a MindMeister map, that, you know, there's development of systems and structures and program content and follow up here. And I feel like we've built it from like the core, you know, in terms of the principles. We're working from a very clear set of values and what we're really trying to do. And so I'd like to be along for the ride. How I see it in the future is I want to go see the space. I feel like that's really what's going to help me get an idea as to what this entails and really get into the nitty gritty of it. So Gillian, Richard, I'll be in touch. I want to see, and I'd like to experience it firsthand. I feel like that gives me and gives you a much better chance for me to give you better feedback, and from a very medical perspective included.
Welcome.
Thank you, Rigo.
Mm-hmm. This is Helena. I've found like the process of working, collaborating, having these conversations has been just as like inspiring and confronting and educational as I think the program itself will be, like the content of the conversation, of just what it takes to bring this people from such diverse perspectives together and creating a shared vision and everything that comes up inside of that. And I'm most excited about the non-clinical, non-medical aspects of this program, and how, you know, having that as the center point can be the container inside of which you can bring in the clinical aspects where needed, and as they fit. And I think that's where this is new in, supporting and enabling lasting health. And so I'm really excited. I throughout this whole process, I've had this ongoing questioning of like, I don't know quite what I contribute to this conversation, what my perspective is, where that fits. And I'm so enjoy being part of it. And I would love to see it through in whatever capacity that is.
It's great.
Yeah.
And I have lots of ideas.
Let's talk about those.
Thank you,
talk-
Elena.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, everybody. Sorry I was not present for the last couple of calls. It's definitely also the non-clinical aspects that inspire me the most too. But I also hope that my clinical aspects can, inform where needed. But I'm definitely a process person, and I think that there's the how of setting it up is, and the system that you're setting it up in is more important than the individual elements, right? So I commend you guys for really putting due process to that side of it, and just the time that for lack, even though my face is not showing, but the FaceTime needed to just allow the time that it takes to let these kinds of ideas percolate. So it's been great to be witness to it. Thank you so much. And yeah, like I said, I don't know exactly how I fit in, but I'm here to be called on in those areas that I have expertise in. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray.
Thanks, Ray. And I have lots of ideas.
You can mind my brain. Just not when I'm getting like massive hormones injected into me, or you're just going to get apparently crazy PMS times 12 or something like that.
Look forward to that.
Avoid me around, the week before February, and then the first 2 weeks of February.
I'll go.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think these calls, I had no idea what to expect. Reminded me of a few important things. One is that sometimes things get messy, and just to trust the process. And so it's been interesting watching this kind of gentle guidance as the conversations go where they actually just need to go. And just trusting that whoever's here is who needs to be here at the right moment. Yeah, moving forward, I guess the piece that for me today actually is just coming up is where I think I'm just curious, and then maybe I could just offer support moving forward, just like thinking through where the psychedelic piece can come in, because I think it's in the conversation, out of the conversation, and I'm just curious to see how to weave that in as one of the tools in order. Yeah, I'm definitely obviously not a psychedelic therapist or anything like that, but thinking, tapping into the global community of people who are thinking along the same lines of how to create programs where it's not just psychedelics, where there's actually wraparound support. I think doing within this context would be actually way more innovative than what anyone else is doing that I've heard about. So I think that piece right now, I'm really just curious about it. And yeah, it looks like I might be doing some more work up in that area this coming year. So my CUNY connection remains strong. And so looking forward to hopefully being around in person when I can be.
Andrea, when are you back? In
about 4 weeks. I'll be back in Canada in 4 weeks.
Which is what? Which is beginning of February?
It's around the 4th of February.
Thank you.
I don't know if anyone can hear me.
Thank you, Andrea. Yes, and can hear you.
Okay. I'm on Gambier, so my internet is kind of shoddy, and everyone has seemed to frozen on my screen, but somehow everyone has frozen on a frame where they're smiling, which is pretty great to see. The past calls have been challenging for me and also really rich, and I've learned a lot. And moving forward, I'm really excited and nervous about the complexity of the communication that's going to happen. And Ray kind of touched on that a bit today. So I'm definitely excited about that. And that's what I'm thinking most about right now. And thank you, John, for your leadership on all these calls.
Thank you, Florence.
I'll go next. Just want to echo Rigo's words about the structure. And John, thank you very much for creating that for us to follow and to be inspired by. The thing that I got out of all this process was a couple of things, but the first one was clear on how I can attribute to Sentinel Health with the kind of program that I'd like to sort of plug in, if you will, to the whole overall concept. So I got clarity on that, so thank you all for that. I want to thank technology when it works, especially to the way it was able to bring us all together. Like right now I can see like everyone's face, except for you, Ray, but I can hear you. And it's so great that I met a bunch of different people. Some people I know, some people I don't. And I'm really looking forward to a weekend at the Sentinel to meet people in person and to further discuss our ideas in person, because I think it'll be even that much richer. So I'm really excited and looking forward to that. And yeah, I just want to thank everyone's contribution, hearing everyone coming from their own unique perspectives, from their personalities, but also from their training. And I've worked in multimodal systems before, in particular in corrections, in a maximum security hospital, where people from all different therapeutic modalities were coming together, everything from First Nations, indigenous groups, to parole officers, to psychiatrists, etc., OTs, physios, nurses, and it's very exciting, very dynamic. And I get a sense that this will be available in this process as well. And the whole idea of the lasting health, it's very pertinent to me, and obviously, as demographics are showing, they're very pertinent to a big whack of us, and also to the younger people as well, because I think we live in a very toxic environment, like globally. So I think the work that we can do here can really open up people to what's available. So I think I'll end on that.
Thank you, Stephen.
Yes, I go next. I'm gonna second everything you have said so far, so it's easy for me being the last one, I guess. Yeah, Helena, I totally agree. It was like we started off with a process that was like very open, up for interpretation, and we now came to this amazing result of outcome, vision, and like a way clearer picture of what lasting health perhaps will be. So I'm super happy with that. I'm very, very grateful to be part of this team, to meeting all of you. It's an absolute privilege. So I'm very, very thankful for that. And I feel that my contribution here in CASLO, I'm not quite sure what it will be, but I know that my heart is in there. And I know that the knowledge I have about Chinese medicine, about somatic emotional release work, and cranial sacral therapy, as well as the community itself, I hope to be able to really um, add that to lasting health, and I'm looking super forward to that very much so. Yeah. So thanks all of you guys, and I'm sure we're gonna talk again. And that personal contact and meeting you guys up here will be just like, I look super forward to it. It will be awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Leni.
Thank you, Leni. So I'll go quickly, John, and then leave it to you to wrap.
Good.
So just massive amounts of gratitude to all of you for being who you are individually and professionally and spiritually, and part of my tribe. I consider all of you, and that's so important in creating this amazing thing that we're doing. And so I just am very grateful, and I think that's and it's been lovely to watch the sort of transition, not only in our development of the process and the of the program itself, but also of our coming together as a group and a team and getting to know each other as we have on these little screens in front of us. And I'm just, now it's clear that the next step is up in Kaslo for a weekend. And seeing as the eggs have to be frozen and Andrea has to come back from Spain, it looks like that. And John has to return from Mexico. That looks like March, which is fantastic. So I'm really looking forward to that, and being in touch with you in different ways in between. So love to all of you, and thank you.
Thank you, Jillian.
Yeah.
All right, we're right on time.
One more thing. Sorry, one more thing, John.
Yes.
So just, it's been an honor to be working with you and to be witness to your unfolding and your embracing lasting health for yourself, and really stepping out as the leader we know you to be. But I really see you experiencing that yourself, and that to me is the best part of all, actually. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much, Jillian. And thank you, everyone. I am deeply honored to be part of this process, to see that coming together as we have and creating and collaborating together with a shared vision, that is the essence of how we create lasting health for ourselves and for others and for our planet. And I am very encouraged by the process that we have gone through together. One of the things that I struggle with is the balance of envisioning and action. I encourage us to draw from what we have experienced together over the last few months, the power of the vision, to stay true to it as we act. To act from that place, from the foundation of that vision, to ensure that we stay true to it as we put things in place, as we bring more people on board. And then when we actually unfold the program and we bring participants, we want participants to be held in that, what we're talking about, the strength of the vision, which has come from listening, meeting each other. We know how important that is to an individual as a client or participant or patient, that they be met, that they feel that they are seen and heard, and that they're part of a creative process that is not just about themselves, that their lasting health, their healing is being embraced by the whole of the world around them. So I really look forward to the next steps. There's going to be lots of communication happening now behind the scenes and planning for us coming together up in Kaslo. So with that, I thank everyone for participating. I find that there is tremendous support of this just by virtue of us being here, of putting our name into the pool by declaring that we are part of this. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, John. And I just wanted to add one more thing, and that is just thank all of you for 2 hours every Sunday morning for months. It's a big commitment, especially, well, we're all busy, not especially anyone, we're just all busy, and it's very much appreciated.
Yes. Thank you for mentioning that again, Jillian. Jillian and Richard, could you stay on the call for a couple of minutes? So we just have a couple of minutes together to chat about something. And with that, we're 12 o'clock, we're noon in Vancouver. And that's it for now. We'll be gathering again somehow, somewhere, sometime.
Soon.
Soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ciao.
Hey, Jillian.